Welcome. Another series with Nick and myself here on the AI series with Get Vibey. Nick, how are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks, JP. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah.
It's
Ready to talk about AI?
ready to talk about AI. Wow. It's just February.
Again.
It's February. March and April have been
Yeah.
like insane. Like there's like so many things happening. Just absolutely crazy at the speed that things are moving and releasing and developing right now. Like I'm fascinated.
It's pretty crazy. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
A lot of crazy things have happened in the last few weeks.
Yes.
So we'll cover a lot of things, I'm sure.
I would even say the last few days, if that's the
Yeah, yeah,
case.
yeah.
It's like last time we were on the
Very
pod,
true.
it was like, oh, a new model version is released. I'm like, how is this possible? Like, it's just
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But yeah,
Very true.
let's dive into it. You have the first item. Um,
Yes.
let's kick it off. You get to go first.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So OpenAI raises $122 billion at a valuation of 852 billion. It wasn't a problem for them to raise a lot of money. They were able to bring it in. Uh, their revenue has hit $2 billion per month, which is a pace that is supposedly 4x the pace that Alphabet, Google, or Meta, Facebook, had at growth at the same company stage. So I think it's a really interesting thing to show where it's like with AI, the sky's the limit, and it's just we're getting faster and faster at getting to 100 million, 200 million, 500 million, a billion in terms of revenue a month, and that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've kind of like looked at it too. It's like it's really crazy to see like think about like $2 billion in revenue like a month. I think from the latest reports that they actually just brought out like maybe last week, I think they were aiming towards like 30 billion a year. So the 2 billion is already exceeded basically. And so I think they're just like growing at a clip that is just like unprecedented. Like it's just like a straight vertical line up basically.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, yeah, it just shows like there is demand. There's absolutely demand. The demand's not going away. We're still like at the early stages of this. Um, and there is definitely tons of demand. And I agree. Their business model is definitely different to OpenAI. They have been fully focused on B2B relationships, mostly focusing on businesses, mostly focusing on API contracts and large contracts. And I think that's why you see these numbers go up so quickly because obviously businesses have larger capital and more liquidity available than the end consumer. And so I think that's why you see like this vertical curve, like just literally going up straight, which is crazy to think about. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they even surpassed OpenAI in terms of revenue, which is also again, I'm like impossible thinking about that. Like last year, where like OpenAI is growing so fast, and I'm pretty sure they have outgrown OpenAI from what I've heard. Obviously, none of this is public information, so allegedly, but they've just been like growing insanely, and I feel like no matter what they do, any press is good press for them, and they just keep growing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and Anthropic, on the other hand, Dario Amodei has said uh, not too long ago that they've been growing. They've grown 10x every year, and that is a crazy, crazy number to grow to. And we'll see how long that continues, and if that sort of it has to slow down. Dario Amodei thinks so too, but we're not sure when that's going to happen. We're still early days in terms of what AI, the potential that AI has sort of infiltrated or diffused into the market. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? There's like the one argument of like everybody's kind of like just throwing money at the problem right now, trying to figure something out. And then once they maybe figure it out or once they realize it's not worth the spend, they might scale back. But again, I think that we're so early on that even if that would happen, is there's still like enough new customers coming in that
Yeah,
like that you won't see that. And I think more and more applications and more startups are just like AI native, and they're definitely going to spend more. Like I can see it at my company. We engineers just spend tons of credits, and it's just increasing more. It's every month engineers are burning more tokens. They're using AI for more stuff, and it's not just engineers. It's also just like really anybody at a company. And so I just see the trend also going up. So the cost and the spend is definitely going up, but it's actually very interesting because you almost think of it as like an HR budget now versus like IT costs, right? It's like very interesting how you kind of like justify the costs of having this token spend. Obviously, on one side, it's on the product side, so it's pure product costs or development cost of goods, so to say. But if you think about how much each human spends on these tokens, you almost think about it like, hey, I could hire another human, or I could just give them unlimited amount of like tokens. And so the way you budget for these things becomes like very differently, and there's different ways to allocate money or like a pool of money for these spends.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting point. What you were saying, is it HR? Is it IT? Where does it fit in the company? Jensen, a long time ago, said that it would be HR where all of this would be with the agents, and that makes a lot of sense. But it's still interesting to see in larger companies. There's also sometimes it's in technology, but sometimes it's in innovation in its own sort of place. Where's the cost, and where do they see the reward as well?
Yes.
But to your point earlier, what you were saying, I think it was also, let me just share my screen real quick. I thought this was a really interesting report, actually, that came out from Anthropic about the labor market and where the potential is. And so the red, and this, it shows a circle with different industries: management, business and finance, computer and math, all of these different areas. And the red part, which is much smaller than the blue area, the red part is already where AI is being covered and is being used. But the blue area are the areas that AI is not being used in the industry, and that's super fascinating. That just shows how early on we are with this sort of stuff, and really great that Anthropic comes out with these reports that we can sort of dive into this a little bit more, because otherwise it would be very much a full black box. But yeah, super interesting to see where AI is also possible, less so in construction, production, things like that, but very possible in business, architecture, life and social sciences, and so forth.
100%. I mean, especially it's very interesting that office and admin is already like very big, right? And then I think the business finance side, computer math kind of vector is like very big already. So those seem to be like the biggest ones. And surprisingly, legal and education are huge, like just as big, which is like actually a little bit smaller, but like it's getting there. It's kind of surprising to me that like the education part is already so big compared to like, let's say, arts and media, or let's say architecture, for example, or other areas that like maybe seem more obvious. But I think, the education piece is huge. Really excited to see how education changes the game. I think it's going to be very interesting. Like obviously having now kids myself, having one kid, I'm very interested to see how it definitely changes the dynamics and how they grow up in terms of like learning, but also like the possibilities that they have. We were just thinking about it the other day of like, they have like, have you heard of these Tony boxes? They basically are the little characters you put in a box, and they have like all these different characters. So it's like a little speaker box, and they have like a little magnet RFC chip on top. And so you put this little speaker on top, and they're all different magnets. Like there's like Cars, Disney, like all different characters, and they all have like different theme songs they come with. And so they sit in front of the Tony box instead of a TV, which is great. And it's actually made in Germany, fun fact. But and then you can download your own songs, you can kind of record your own songs, all that stuff, right? And I was like, it's interesting. Actually, now with AI, you can kind of mimic this, and you have like this box that could technically be anything in any language, in any voice you want. So if I wanted to teach, I don't know, German, and he's into Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story, I could have Buzz teach him German and like make it fun and entertaining, right? And so I could do this myself. I don't have to buy a product. I could literally just like, develop it myself, and now I can give it to my child and kind of like create my own education plan together, so to say. So I think there's tons of like cool opportunities that I think, again, like just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, yeah, super cool. Yeah, so this is one report of many that that Anthropic writes. One other thing that I did want to highlight from Anthropic is they come out with an economic index on a regular basis, and this is also just super interesting. Of course, this is Claude users, Anthropic users in general, so not OpenAI or others. Anthropic does a really good job at sort of making this as clean and usable and reviewable as possible. I haven't seen OpenAI or others do it as well. And you can, look globally. In the US, you can even go per state. So, if we want to look at California, you can see the percentages of what people use it for.
By the way, we can only see the top part of
Oh, let me share this tab instead.
There we go. Yes.
And so this is the economic index, and you can see the global usage, the state usage, and then if you choose California, you can even look at the different sections, but you can even click into it and see what the top questions are, top things that people talk about. This is really interesting information. This is super interesting for you to know, also for who you may be hiring in the future, who are using AI now and who are sort of more native in that space, as well as just areas that are of interest in the AI space. So really, really cool stuff here, as well as job explorers. And here, even looking at, are they asking directive questions? Are they asking validation or learning? What type of questions are these sort of users asking with Anthropic? Really, really cool stuff to kind of dive into, just to learn a little bit more about AI.
This is amazing. Yeah, we definitely got to put this in the show notes so people can kind of explore this after the fact.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I think the fun fact is probably here. This is probably fully vibe coded by Cloud Code.
Yeah.
They probably have all the data from like their careers, and they're like, here's database, go build this report. It probably was like built in like one day by like an analyst or something.
Yep, totally. That's the crazy thing. I was listening to a podcast, Ezra Klein with Jack Clark, one of the co-founders of Anthropic, and he was saying, Ezra Klein brought up something really interesting. He was saying, this is your bread and butter. Like, Claude is your product, and you are letting Claude write the code. Like, do you trust that? And he was like, yeah, it writes at least 90% of the code. And so the point now, the most important part of it is to create monitoring and observability dashboards to understand like what is changing, why is it changing, and just to stay ahead of how to sort of observe and check these agents and what they're doing.
You bring up a really great point. We talked about as well internally about like, how do we ship code to production and how do you automate some of the stuff, for example, like not having a human potentially review it. And my opinion is definitely the biggest thing is observability, because there was a report by Amazon that they had more outages in US East 1 or in their hosting environment, so to say, AWS. And they blamed it, or they related it to like more junior engineers shipping faster with AI to production, and people are not checking the code as much anymore, and so they introduced more mistakes. Now I can totally see that, because you do more, you kind of check a little bit less, and you let somebody else write the code. And so I'm 100% of the opinion that observability becomes everything, because you have to detect quickly when these things happen and catch them quickly and just like mitigate it quickly, because you cannot keep up with the speed that at these where the code's being generated. And of course, again, still the beginning. So ideally you have autonomous flows that run in the background automatically, and they just merge code at 3 a.m. and you can kind of trust that it's working basically. And so for that, you have to have observability and the right things in place. Otherwise, you cannot get stuck there. Or your product just becomes flawed and it goes down every time and you lose all the customers, right? So 100% agreed there. And I think that should be on the forefront of a lot of engineering teams, but also just like anybody who's using AI, like how do you make sure that the things that you're actually doing are valid and correct? And that's probably the number one concern I hear from a lot of people, especially non-technical people. It's like, how do you know it's real? Like, how do you know it's not hallucinating? And I'm like, yeah, there's different ways to do it. There's oftentimes you can use the LLM to QA itself. It's a completely new flow. It's a completely new chain. So the context will be reset and be like, hey, QA yourself. Like, read the instructions, read the output. Does it make sense? And is it correct? And so there's various ways where you can get clever to QA yourself, but you have to do it. Otherwise, again, you're flying blind, and you can never fly blind.
Yeah, it's interesting. You just don't know with these things. Also, in privacy, for privacy reasons and things like that, there are a lot of chatbots that are used by companies that aren't tracking the chats. They'll track maybe the first question, but that's pretty much it. And so it's very much flying blind and just and not necessarily really learning that much from it. But that will definitely be a very important market, I think, in the future of how to do that in a private way, but also how to learn from it and sort of create that iteration loop to make it better. The feedback loop.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
I know you have one more on the Anthropic side. Should we dive into?
Yes. This is big news.
Yeah, go dive into it. I saw a tweet and I was like, it's insane. So I'll let you kick it off. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but I might add to it.
Please do. Mythos. This was the newest LLM model that was not released by Anthropic, not released in the public. You cannot access it. They say it's so advanced that it is a security risk for them to release it. So they have released it to a certain number of large tech companies and organizations. Trump knows about it. The president knows about it. They've been in contact with them, where they're using it to hopefully increase security for major websites like Google, various other ones, NVIDIA, as well as others, to make sure that there's enough security there so that in the future that other bad actors, if they do get access to this, won't actually be able to make any changes. So super fascinating way of doing this. I think it's also, I don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, JP. How much of this is real? How much of this is a great marketing publicity stunt? I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think you never know with Anthropic at this point, unfortunately. Like, you never know what's a publicity stunt and like what's actually real. I have a little bit of a hard time to just say that you have it and be like, I'm not going to release it, but I'm going to tell you how it works. I'm going to tell you the stats, but I'm not going to show you actually how it works. I'm just giving you some benchmarks that nobody can verify, basically. It's what, I find that very interesting because if you look at the, this is what I was talking about. So these are kind of like the benchmarks, the evaluation that you have. You have Opus 4.6, which is like the smartest model right now. You have Gemini 3.15 and then GPT. And so apparently, the bench verified jumps from 80% to 94% almost. So like a massive jump of 14%. Another huge jump is the software engineering bench multi-model. So now it jumps to 60%. And again, some other stats that were very impressive were around the graph walls, BFS. So again, I think there is a bunch of charts that basically say like, this is pretty much close to perfect at this point. And so I think the biggest, as you said, like this can become like a huge security risk in the wrong hands. And what they obviously have to be careful about is like if their model gets distilled. So that's what's happening, with Chinese company. They basically just distill the models and then they rip everything out. And so obviously you have to make sure you deploy it internally first. So if it's potentially a security risk, obviously, involve some companies first so they can actually prepare for this. Because once it's out there, you can't put it back in the box, right? And so that's where they may have a little bit of a claim that might be true, where they're like, hey, I think this is so advanced that like in the wrong hands, like you could be screwed. So I'm going to give you a heads up and let you prepare for it, or at least, make your own, make your own head, like figure out like what you want to do with this. I don't know. Also seeing where all the models are at. Again, hard to comprehend that like one company would be this far ahead of others. Google has their own flagship models. Like, let's be honest, Google is crushing it right now. And so for them to be like flat-footed, almost like caught flat-footed, of like, hey, by the way, we developed this model at Anthropic and like it will surprise you, kind of feels a little iffy. OpenAI has great models as well. So I don't know. They seem to be all leveled right now, where like it almost like doesn't matter which one you use. Sure, some of them have like better use cases on coding and stuff like that. But again, I feel like if I would be Google, I at least would know about it, and I may not want to specialize in this market right now, but like I at least know what's coming and I'm prepared for it. So I don't know. We'll see. Now there's famous Sonata Opus 5 is releasing this month. So we'll see. I think it's going to stay interesting. I believe it when I see it when it comes out, but we'll find out.
Yeah, there are rumors that that with Mythos that they found various security breaches for Google and other websites that have been in the code for decades, that no human was able to find, no human was able to, just because of maybe old technology debt that nobody goes to or whatever. Either way, I think, and this is what I saw also with McKinsey. McKinsey did this where they had an organization try to breach their information and use AI for that. And the other company actually was able to do it. Luckily, they were being paid by McKinsey to try it. And because of that, they also were able to post about it and get more clients because they're able to really make things as secure as possible. I think this is also part of the Anthropic pitch here is, look, these are the security risks that we found, and let's keep this amongst us and like fix this stuff and then move forward. Either way, really, really interesting sort of setup. It created a lot of just an uproar, I think, also in news. Most news channels are talking about this, and so there is. It's sooner than many people thought, and it's showing. I think it is showing sort of a potential security risk at a large scale that we haven't yet really seen with AI. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, I think the timing is interesting because, now they have a foot back into the government after they were just like banned basically by the Pentagon. And so I think that timing is like really interesting, You're like,
I know.
This is a really good way to get back at it.
Yeah, it was last episode that we were talking about Anthropic and how they weren't part of the government anymore, or maybe two, but like not long ago. And then all of a sudden, here they are back.
We have this like epic model that like will destroy everything.
yeah, exactly. Really interesting to see.
Yeah, I think the cybersecurity stuff is real, especially in the legacy infrastructure. Like, not just like Google, but like let's talk about banking. Let's talk about like electricity companies, like supply companies, water supply, like. That's where I think about it. It's like, sure, like these things are obviously secure because they've been around for years and they run on very old technology and they're probably running on-prem and stuff like that. But I think that, we're going to discover a lot of flaws because these agents will just run and you can spawn unlimited amount of agents. So you're not like bound to humans anymore. and they can just run 24/7. They don't sleep, and they were just like, cybersecurity is going to become like a real thing. I think you see more and more even scams now, sadly, with people calling relatives of like, hey, I have your wife, blah blah, ransom, and they mimic the voice and stuff like that. So it is getting gnarly out there, and I think there's going to be quite a few tools that will obviously prevent this and detect this. But it remains interesting as always. But I'm an optimist, so I hope that we prevail on the good side of things, and we'll have the right mechanisms in place, because there will always be bad and evil in the world. So I hope that we're going to prevail and have enough entrepreneurs that will fix this to make sure AI stays on the hype.
Yeah, I think so. The companies that are in this group that were able to get access, JP Morgan Chase, so also banks, Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Cisco, CrowdStrike. So they do try to cover the gamut in terms of servers, any sort of access, things like that. Interesting to see this play out this way. The first time that I know of that something like this happens, especially from any sort of larger LLM company. Interesting to see if this is going to be the new norm for LLMs moving forward. We shall see.
We'll shall see. I 100% agree with you. And yes.
So
ahead, sorry.
Anyway, no, yeah. So that's Anthropic. That's all we got there. One minor little other update that I thought was kind of interesting as well. I'm very interested in the open source local LLM sort of setup, and Google has some interesting news as of late that they came out with a really interesting app, AI Edge Gallery app. This is where you can actually download Gemma 3 or Gemma 4. These are LLMs that are locally on your iPhone, and you can have them run there. It will review audio, it can look at images, and it's a pretty good sort of critical thinking LLM that you can use. This is sort of the first step towards having edge AI, which is this whole thing that we've chatted about a little bit, about having LLMs on your phone that can do a lot, that don't need to connect anywhere, and that can stay private. And then, with certain questions, may reach out to the cloud for other things. So first step in that direction, really interesting.
Have you played with it?
No, I haven't. I just read about it. Have you played with it?
I've not played with it. I've seen the tweets. I've seen the performances, which was very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've not played with it. Again, I think I use most of the models that are on the API. I like to use like the best ones, basically. But again, I think it's interesting if you have large applications that just require like a lot of compute. They do like mundane tasks that are not like super critical, and so you can do a lot of cost savings. Again, we talked about OpenClaw and stuff like that. I think this is like a perfect use case for OpenClaw. I think it's a step in the right direction, but compared to what's out there with GLM and Quen and Kimmy, I think it's still like a little bit behind.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to see that companies like Google are still pushing towards like the open source frontier, and they're still pushing ahead. So it's really great to see. I believe that it's now the third best open source model, which is great. And I even saw somebody brought down the model to less parameters. I believe 512. It fit into 512 gigabytes of RAM, I believe. And so they're running the model like completely locally on a computer, on a Mac Mini, basically. And so I think that's going to be really interesting. And yeah, I'm excited to see what's coming. Coming there as the next steps. But it's great to see that companies like Google that have really no benefit of publishing like any open source models, they're still doing it. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, I think that this is the same sort of play that we were discussing in the past with Meta, where it's like if you keep on doing open source, you sort of own the operating system. and that's, I think, the Google's play here, sort of like the Android, if you will, but then for LLMs and for
Yeah.
apps.
And talking about Meta, have you
Yeah.
seen the Muse Spark announcement?
No, I did not. Tell us about it.
Oh, so Meta just came out with their own model, and it's crushing, and they're going to have their own cloud. So they're going to become their own API provider for models. And if we look at the chart here, apparently it is blowing up, and it's really good. Again, not best charts everywhere. It's definitely not like the best model across all of the different charts, but I would say it's in the top 3 right now. You can see humanity's last exam, like Gemini and GPT are still crushing, but it's very close, and I would say to an average user, it will probably be the same and not really like a differentiator. And so I'm really excited to see that. It does pretty good at coding. But again, if you look at like GPT 5.4, for example, definitely like still crushes. But this is a great first effort because obviously Mark has been spending, or Meta has been spending a lot of money into like their AI lab, what they call. And so it's really cool to see that after the couple open source models like Llama, after like nothing for a long time because their last model really failed, it's really cool to see like what they've come up with. And again, I never bet against Mark. I think he's one of the greatest entrepreneurs that we know and that we have. And so I never bet against Mark Zuckerberg. But I'm really excited to see what's coming out of it. And what I didn't see and what I didn't expect is Meta becoming an actual like model provider using their own infrastructure, which is genius because that's where the money is at. So that was surprising to me. There is a closed beta access to get access to it. Not everybody can get access to it, so we'll keep an eye on it as we get access and can play around with it. So I'm bullish on it. We'll see.
Yeah, really cool. Glad they are back in the game. That's really exciting. It's been a while.
Yes, 100%. And then I think last time I mentioned this, Perplexity, and how I have not been using Perplexity and how you still use Perplexity the most. And so I'm gonna share a little bar chart. How also Perplexity, if we look at the revenue, look at this chart, February 25th, computer launch, vertical straight line up. Like they just added $150 million in revenue within a single month because of the computer launch. What is computer? People might not know what it is, but basically Perplexity Computer is a way to run tasks in the cloud. So instead of you sitting in front of your computer, you can just give it a task and it will just run in the cloud and it will come back when it's done. It can run for like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, however long. It's really smart. It combines a bunch of different models around Opus and GPT and open source models, and it will basically figure out like how to distill the best answer, kind of like rank them against each other, which is pretty cool. And it's really optimized towards the agentic flow where it just kind of runs and runs and runs until you get a perfect result, which, interestingly enough, OpenClaw has gotten a lot of competition from all of these companies now. Everybody thought that OpenClaw was like this next best thing, and I've showed it last time on the pod. I've kept playing with it. I really enjoyed it. And then Claude came out with this patch, which is the same thing. Then Perplexity came out with Computer, and I'm like, I don't need to do this complex stuff anymore. Like, this is way too complex, and like they just like took out the complexity. They have pretty much all the same connectors. Obviously, you have more flexibility with OpenClaw and like what models you use. You can run it locally, but for the average user, no shot. Like so much better, so much easier, and just so much more accessible and like less mistakes and less setup. And so I've gotten completely rid of my OpenClaw instance because A, I have not used it enough where it was problematic for costs, and B, these things already come with a free subscription to me, so I already can use them basically for free. And they've just been crushing it. And so I've actually been, again, a huge refan of Perplexity because of the computer use lately. So I've been using a lot more Perplexity lately again, which is kind of fun.
Oh, JP's crawling back to Perplexity. No, it's and they say it's the competitor to OpenClaw, and it's so much easier to use. It's not perfect. It's not there, not fully there yet. Of course, access is still integrations are still limited, but it's definitely moving in the right direction. And it's interesting, right? Because it makes me think, like, it makes me wonder, for the average user of AI, maybe it's better to not jump on the first hype train of any sort of new app or new thing, learn about it, but then maybe wait until the larger companies or other companies actually create that version, but then in a safer, integrated, easier way. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I think that would save a lot of time, a big headache, and potential deletion of all your emails.
Yes, 100%. And actually prepared something a little bit because I wanted to kind of showcase what it does because sometimes it's a little abstract when we talk about these things. So I used Perplexity Computer and prepared a little chart. So let's see. Here's my latest Perplexity task. You can see it ran for quite a bit. It used GPT 5.4 mini in parallel. And this started based on one or two prompts. What did I do? Very, very broad. I basically said map out all businesses of a specific type in my area by searching on the directories and maps, then compile a result into a structured list with each business name. I basically asked it to generate me a lead list of potential entrepreneurs that want to join the Get Vibey network. So it asked me a couple of questions like what services do you want to focus on, which business ownership should I include, and how broad should I make the first pass in terms of like how many businesses should I do. So I basically said like home services, independent right now only, top 100. And so what happened is it started running for a good, I would say 30-ish minutes. And it started scraping everything, Google Maps, all that good stuff. And then what it came out to is, at the very end, let's take a look here. A CSV file with business name, the segment, the category, the address, the website, the email. The CSV is a little off, but like basically it's phone number, website, email, contact information, the Google Maps URL. Let's see. There's notes, there is the owner's name, the title, and then the contact of the owner. Private email address or also the company email address, basically. So really, really interesting. This would have taken me a long, long time, basically. And so it generated all of these different companies. Again, there is tons of different ways what you can do here, but like it was really cool to see how it went ahead and did exactly what I wanted, which is like solopreneur companies basically, and it like specialized on that and got it all right and got all the information. And then what's cool is you can see kind of like the to-do list of things, and you can also see the usage. So it ran for 31 minutes, it used 650 credits, and it only used text basically. And then it produced 4 different files. And then there's also like a summary here of like found 89 businesses, we found 54 with an email, and then we have a different fit score basically. So really, really interesting. And I thought this was fantastic. And if you actually go back and you would start a new task, what's interesting is now the things that they want you to do: navigate my taxes, build a business, organize my life, recruiting, create a prototype, help me learn. I think these things are exactly what it's like the cold start problem. Like, where do I even start, right? Monitoring a situation. So like it will basically re-trigger, like let's say you want to find out what's going on with elections or what's going on in Iran right now. You can literally say like, hey, go give me an update every 6 hours basically, and it will compile an update with the latest news specifically for you basically. And then as it knows you, obviously it suggests different things. And last but not least, just this morning they announced they're integrating with a bunch of banks through Plaid. So now Perplexity can become kind of like your financial advisor. So again, they're really pushing on the finance side here. But I think that they've done a phenomenal job, and Computer is a phenomenal product, and the way they kind of orchestrate these different agents and these different models just blew my mind away. Like it worked so well. It worked better than OpenClaw in my mind.
Yeah, super cool. I wanted to. I'd be curious for you to try that now with Claude Cowork, which is another one as
Yeah.
well for Claude. The same prompt, but yeah, and I think that that's really cool that worked so well. That is direct competition with Clay, with many other companies that are there to source potential leads, and it's crazy how quickly that's going to change the various industries and various markets. Very cool.
Yes. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, I'm really excited to see, like, there's still rumors of Apple and Perplexity integrating, so we'll see. I haven't written Apple off yet. I have a feeling they're going to just come out and blow everybody away. I think they will find a really intelligent way to have on-device AI. I think they will be the first ones because they have the best chips. But I think there's going to be something. There's going to be something there. So we'll see. But yeah, very, very excited. I'll keep using it and kind of keep comparing it to Claude and stuff like that. But I've had great success with it, so I've really enjoyed it.
Cool. Nice. All right. I would love to share a little bit about a pet project that I'm kind of working on, and things that I've sort of built in Lovable. So let me share my screen. It's crazy to see how quickly things are updating. So Lovable, for many who don't know, is sort of like a Claude Code, a Cursor, various others where you can create your own website, and you can create your own app. And I've been using it for a while for clients, but also for myself. And here are some examples of ones that other people have created. You can create anything with forms. You can set up paywalls for people to have to pay through. You can even set up bookings for if you have an Airbnb or if you have a B&B that you want to rent out or whatever else. There's so many different options for you to build out in, and even an AI generation, image and video generation. And so the thing that I have, and then they also have templates that you can sort of build out. And this is also a really interesting aspect, actually, because people are now starting to build slides for presentations that aren't just one slide after the next, but actually a clickable sort of website, let's say, where you can sort of click around, go back and share that, and that somebody actually learns about your business or about different things in a new way that they will definitely remember compared to a slide deck. So that is also really fascinating. Highly recommend creating an account with Lovable and working in there. I'm not getting paid to say this. But one thing that I have been working on is something that I've been calling Nightlife. And I've mentioned this, I think, a little bit before, where I am listening to DJs on SoundCloud, listening to DJs even on Spotify, and it's hard to find the live events for these DJs at times. And so for me, I thought I would just create something that could hopefully connect that and make that easier for me. So with Lovable, I haven't had to leave Lovable at all. In the past, you would have to create a database, a separate database, and do all these different things. Now, you can even very easily authenticate. So I can just easily connect with my Google account, and it will log me in. And what I've set up is a way to integrate my SoundCloud and my Spotify accounts. So they have APIs and you can actually connect to them in the back end. All I do is type in this left bit here, hey, I want to be able to connect to my Spotify. How do I do that? And it will set everything up. It will ask for the API key. It will tell you where to find that API key. And here you go. And you set it up. You can connect it. And so I've set it up with my artist integrations, but then I've also set it up with Google Calendar, as well as with the places where these events would be happening. Resident advisor, bands in town, all of these places. So you can connect any sort of API with this to the point where I can then sync events, and it will show the DJs that I've liked, both in Spotify and in SoundCloud, will show upcoming events for me so that I can go to those. I can even set it to automatically add that to my Google Calendar, and it will also do that as well. And then here it's just a cool map of Amsterdam with where the events are. And then also in Discovery, I've set up, and you can do this also in Lovable, essentially an AI chatbot that has all of the information from the database. So it can actually, I can go back and forth about certain communities, certain various events, various other artists, and I can also then see which artists it recommends for me because of the match of who I like on my end. All of this took me a few hours to build in terms of integrations, connections, all of that sort of stuff. There are definitely moments where you have to kind of keep on pushing for it and you have to keep on trying. And then sometimes I would ask Claude and then I would come back and I'd fill it in. But it's not hard to create apps like this anymore, where you can do this, you can put this on your home screen on your iPhone, and you can access this whenever you want. So the opportunities really are endless out there, and it'll be really fascinating to see how that sort of plays out.
I love this. And again, you have no coding background. Like you've never
No.
written code probably in your life, and you
No.
just built this.
Yeah. I had one basic C++ class long time ago. I don't remember any of that stuff. And yeah, I built all of this without looking at code one bit. And what is interesting in terms of the code section is you can even connect it to your GitHub, so it automatically will upload that into your GitHub. You can access that in the future. You can even access that with Claude Code. Or Cursor. You can then connect it on the back end and check it. But yeah, the code is right here. I could review this if I wanted to, but I have no idea what this means. And I can just do it here with asking questions and adding information. One last thing that's really cool is you can publish it and it will create a website for you. So you can actually publish that. But then if you pay the $20 a month, then you can actually change the domain to whatever your domain is and make that happen. And it has also a security check. So it will check to make sure that everything is as secure as possible. And you can actually also click try to fix it all to make things happen. So really, really cool product to try different things. I'd highly recommend checking it out and also checking out what already exists and see if you can start from there.
Get some free design inspirations. I think that's huge to me. I'm hey, I like this concept and it's kind of want to build on it. Look at this visual landing page. That's just phenomenal to me.
Yeah.
So, building your company website, if you have an outdated company website, this is your call. One afternoon and you have a new website and it's going to look great. It's going to be great on mobile. You can edit your forms. You have to hire somebody to build this. You just literally do it in the afternoon. And when you want to change something, you just ask it to change it, and boom, it's done. So I think this is phenomenal. Also, what I really like is the security awareness now of hey, don't do this or review these things, because that's been always the biggest struggle before. It's people just putting in stuff in the random places and get exposed. So again, I'm glad that they fixed the biggest thing, which was security. But yeah. Lovable is great. I think they're definitely like the forefront in terms of like UX and UI, like the best user interface in terms of like designing it and stuff like that. So they've done a great job, and I'm really excited to see where they're going.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm in a small pilot mode with Nightlife. So I'm sharing it with some friends and some family here in Amsterdam, and starting small and seeing where it goes. So I'll keep you guys
I love it.
updated on the ride.
Look, I think the time to be an entrepreneur eventually. Like everybody can just kind of create like their own little side business, and they're probably gonna have like multiple different side incomes basically. And so because it's so easy to build this business, like you needed $20 basically to build this now,
Yeah.
and you can just like turn it on and you're ready to go. You don't have to hire a developer. You don't have to like figure this out. It doesn't take you like weeks or a month. It's like a weekend, and you have fun with it. And then the investment is like super low. So the barrier of entry into entrepreneurship has been the lowest it's ever been, especially in the software market now. And so it's really cool to see. So thank you for showing, and best best of luck with this. I hope you're gonna crush it. But I'm excited to see and
Thanks.
be watching the story and kind of like seeing it glow up. I can only imagine like it's 6 months from now you're like, yeah, I have thousands of users, and it's like this product is blowing up basically, and you're like, how do I monetize this?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, even if this side hustle doesn't work, the learnings from how to integrate and connect all of these things, well, that's going to be super valuable for future projects as well. So either way, highly recommend people to just jump in, start doing it, and start creating stuff and see where it goes. Create that story time app for your kid, or create whatever, and sort of see what happens.
100%. I think that's the biggest learning. Is like you just got to do it, and you just got to figure it out, and that will take
Yeah.
the fear away. And then from there, it just opens up like so many more opportunities. And again, even if it doesn't make any money ever, and it's just like a fun little hobby, you didn't invest $10,000 for somebody to build it, so it's like
Right.
that's fine. Like,
Exactly.
it's totally
Yeah.
fine. Like we can just leave this going.
No
as
big
is.
deal.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Awesome. This was
All right,
this was
JP,
amazing. I think we
Yeah.
got through the entire episode. We got through the entire agenda, which was exciting. I think a lot of like cool little demos, which hopefully motivate people to kind of like dive in and explore some of the stuff. And thank you so much for your time, Nick. It's been as always absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking the time, and I'm excited for the next one.
Of course.
Maybe we'll
Yeah.
have
Thanks, JP.
some
Talk to
new
you all soon.
Anthropic AGI models. All right, man. I'll see you soon.
I'm
Bye.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Bye.